We turn now to the incoming White House Chief of Staff for President-elect Joe Biden, and that is Ron Klain. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Margaret. Thanks for having me.
Do you intend to keep Operation Warp Speed intact when you take office? What changes will you make to vaccine distribution?
You know, we are reviewing the progress of Operation Warp Speed and the ways in which we can structure the vaccine distribution most effectively. We'll have something to say about that shortly after the first of the year. We're certainly going to build on the good things about Operation Warp Speed, but also try to be more effective in managing this vaccine distribution program. I agree with something Dr. Adams just said. The program that's before the country to try to vaccinate hundreds of millions of Americans in a few months is one of unprecedented complexity, unprecedented expense, unprecedented technical challenges. We're going to put in place the right people and the right process to do that. It's great that about 200,000 Americans have been vaccinated in this first week, but 200,000 is a long, long way from hundreds of millions of people. That's where we need to get to, Margaret.
And we will follow up with you on those details when you make those calls. I want to ask you about the near term, and that is Christmas. The president-elect says he will have a small family gathering because of COVID. Yeah. He still attends Mass indoors in person. What is his guidance to Americans who want to worship that way?
Margaret, I'm sorry. I have lost you. I can't hear you anymore.
All right. It sounds like we are having some audio problems there. We will take a commercial break
hear what you're saying.
And continue the conversation on the other side. Welcome back to Face the Nation. We're continuing our conversation with Ron Klain. I want to switch gears to talk about this massive hacking of the federal government and private entities. The transition team has had some level of briefing on this. Is there any doubt that Russia was behind it?
To disclose this information in terms of who gets the blame. We should be hearing a clear and unambiguous allocation of responsibility from the White House, from the intelligence community. They're the people in charge. They're the ones who should be making those messages and delivering the ascertainment of responsibility. Instead, what we've heard is one message from the Secretary of State, a different message from the White House, a different message from the president's Twitter feed. We have been briefed on this, but again, I think in terms of publicly communicating the position of our government, that has to come from the current government, and it should be coming in a clear and unambiguous voice.
Well, the president-elect was pretty clear when he spoke to my colleague Stephen Colbert on CBS earlier this week, and he was asked about Russia, and he said they'll be held accountable. He said they'll face financial repercussions for what they did. Is that no longer the case? He no longer believes it's Russia?
No, what I'm saying is that the official statements about who's responsible for this particular attack needs to come from the administration in a clear and unambiguous way.
Okay.
What the president-elect has also said, clearly, Margaret, is that those who are responsible are going to face consequences for it, and he's going to take steps as president to degrade the capacity of foreign actors to launch these kinds of attacks on our country.
So Senator Mitt Romney said this morning the Russians potentially have the ability to target U.S. utilities and cripple the U.S. economy. Is that your understanding of what these hackers have the ability to do right now? And are sanctions as far as the president-elect is willing to go?
Well, so I think there's a lot of uncertainty still about what the purpose of these attacks were. Were they espionage-oriented? Were they designed to inflict damage on us? I agree with Senator Romney about the capacity of foreign actors. I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions about the purpose, nature, and extent of these specific attacks, and we're looking forward to learn more about them. I think in terms of the measures that a Biden administration would take in response to an attack like this, I want to be very clear. It's not just sanctions. It's also steps and things we could do to degrade the capacity of foreign actors to repeat this sort of attack, or worse still, engage in even more dangerous attacks.
Okay. Have the two, I'm hoping you can
still... And now, Margaret, I've lost you again. I'm sorry, but the connection's been severed once again.
All right. Just when I was going to ask you a follow-up there, but Ron Klain, thank you very much for joining us.